Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, bringing you the weather right now. All this social media hype here on your Monday, November 11th, 2024. Happy Veterans Day to my fellow veterans out there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's tracking here for today's forecast, as the pattern is going to remain fairly active across the country. We've got multiple storm systems to talk about, and believe it or not, we could potentially be looking at another hurricane coming our way or brewing in the Caribbean. We'll talk about that in greater detail here in a second. And then any winter air anytime soon, or we'll take a look ahead and maybe some indications you could see some cold air coming down the week of Thanksgiving. That's the week I've been kind of hinting at here for a little while. We'll see if that's going to change anytime soon. All right, before we get into all that, first I want to thank all the new subscribers to the channel. And if you're that 50% out there that have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below. It does help with the almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our current satellite picture here across the country as the leftovers here from Rafael is pretty much dying out in the Gulf of Mexico. Although some of this moisture, believe it or not, may actually work up into parts of Louisiana, may actually influence the rain in the south. At least that's what the Europeans showing. I'll show you that in detail here in a second. Big storm system coming out here on the west coast, and middle of the country looking pretty quiet, and a little weak system here moving across the northeast here for this morning. Looking at our surface map, we got some cold air up here in the high plains, although not overly cold, not by their standards, as we're getting toward the middle of November here. Very active here on the west coast, seeing the heavier rains here from Washington State all the way down into Northern California. We're going to take a look at some of that radar there in just a second, but very mild up the eastern seaboard here for today. All right, let's look at our watches and warnings. We got just a couple areas of fog around metro Atlanta and down toward the Houston area, down toward Louisiana. A couple of these brown areas, that's some windy conditions here and there, but for the most part, looking pretty quiet here across most of the nation here for your Monday. Again, going to Northern California, this is the Oregon line here. This is Medford, Oregon here, seeing the heavy rains here coming up toward Grants Pass, coming on Interstate 5, and this moisture spreading on inland here. Very wet and rainy day across Northern California, as well as a lot of Oregon here as that big storm system moves in here on the west coast. Heading on over to the other coast, this is a beautiful shot. I saw this morning. I said, ooh, I got to use this one. Not bad. Here's our weather city of the day, Washington, D.C. A beautiful day ahead, sunshine and a few clouds out there. Looks like we'll see mostly sunny skies here for today and a high of 73 degrees. And hey, if you'd like to nominate your city as the weather city of the day, got a good webcam in your area, perhaps on the internet or maybe here on YouTube, please post that link down below and we'll consider it for a future broadcast. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears and take a look from the Storms Prediction Center's perspective and see what they're tracking here as far as any thunderstorms over the next several days. We'll go ahead and start off here first by looking at your day one outlook here, as we're not seeing any organized severe weather out there. That's the good news there. Just some few thunderstorms out here on the west coast you see there, and maybe a little pocket here right along the Gulf Coast. But otherwise, looking pretty quiet here for the most part here for today. Not looking too bad there. All right, let's go ahead and check out look day two. Let's see if that changes much here as we go into your Tuesday. As that loads up there. And we got one little pocket there we got to watch here, there toward the, say, Texas area and into Oklahoma. So we got a little marginal pocket there right there with that storm system coming out. This is the same system I was tracking last week that I thought maybe prospectively could have been a tornadic system. It doesn't appear that's going to be the case here, as the jet streams just didn't phase up, and it just not as pronounced with the jet stream dip there than what we were looking at last week. So that's some good news here. You at least don't have to worry about that. Now, as we take a look at our day three outlook here, we'll go and shift this over into your Wednesday. That tracks along the Gulf Coast here as we watching some active weather there across Mississippi, Louisiana, maybe sneaking into parts of southern Alabama, just a general thunderstorm threat there to the north, and a little bit of activity out here on the west coast. But overall, not looking too bad here for the next 3 days as far as the Storms Prediction Center is concerned. Now, we do have a couple of rainy events. Today is pretty dry, but for tomorrow going into your Tuesday, as far as the heavy rain threat's concerned, we'll have to watch that area there heading up into the northwest. So we got the Pacific Northwest looking at a little bit of some activity out there to look forward to. And as we go ahead and take a look at the day three, this will shift into the southeast. So again, as that moves off, that next system moves off toward the east, we will see some heavy rains here across portions of Tennessee, stretching down toward the Gulf Coast still. And obviously, we're still looking pretty active out here on the west coast as well with the heavy rains there. So now let's go ahead and shift into the tropics. That's our next target zone here for your forecast. And wow, look at this once again. We've got a 40% chance of development here somewhere in the Caribbean. And right now, both the American GFS model and the European model are both indicating something brewing here fairly quickly, and we could be looking at a hurricane. Now, this hurricane will, if it does develop, will be watched because depending on the track, could have an impact on the impact of how the weather pattern is going to be across the country. I'll explain that here in greater detail in a second. But again, here's our name list right now. As we've come all the way through Rafael, our next named system will be Sara. And Sara looks like it likely will be a hurricane and could potentially be a major hurricane, another one to add to the count for 2024. All right, so here's what we're looking at right now. Not looking that bad out there currently. It's all quiet, but we're going to be watching this zone out here to see if the thunderstorm should be the pressures will start to fall, and we'll see the thunderstorms begin to develop, and we'll get something organized here probably in the next 7 days or so. So because the 2-day outlook wasn't showing anything, but about 7 days, that's when we'll start to see things begin to change, and we'll see something develop at that time. Now, the sea surface temperatures out here are still plenty warm, so we got plenty of fuel for the stuff to feed off. You're looking at 29 degrees Celsius water temperatures there, so we're talking about 85, 86 degree water temperature here. Pretty warm for the anything tropical to develop. So let's go ahead and take a look at the eSense model ensemble. Again, this is kind of tracking out multiple areas here as I've got this looping here. This is what's left over from Rafael kind of going bye-bye, but it's this area down here we'll be watching to see what develops. And then how's it's going to pull to the north? Looks like it's going to get pulled to the north, and then where is it going to go? Is it going to go to the Gulf? Is it going to go up the eastern seaboard? Again, way too early to call on this, but we do have a couple areas we're going to watch here to see which way this is going to go. All right, as active as the weather pattern is from west to east, I would probably favor something that will probably be more easterly than, say, into the Gulf of Mexico, just because of just how active the weather pattern's been here looking. So we're going to be checking out our high-resolution composite reflectivity, kind of an example of expectation of what the radars are going to look like here. As we're looking at your Monday morning, we do have some, obviously we got the wet weather out here on the West Coast. We showed you that. This activity here exiting off the East Coast as we go through the next couple of days. So as we go ahead and put this into motion here, again, we got whatever the remnants are of our system down here. That's the remnants of Rafael kind of influencing some of the rain down that way, not to mention a decaying front as well. This will be kind of moving in along the coastal areas there. You see the rain kind of picking up there. And then our next storm system comes out of the Rockies as we go throughout the day on Monday and Tuesday. So the next system on the West Coast, there's the West Coast system here on your Monday. It's going to move inland here and move into the Intermountain region, causing in some rains and obviously higher elevation snows there. As that moves inland across Idaho, looking at snows there on Tuesday. Then as we get toward Wednesday, this will start to eject out into the plains. We'll see that boom, thunderstorms start to fill out here across portions of Kansas and into Oklahoma. Again, not expecting anything major as we were looking for compared to last week, but again, we'll get a few thunderstorms out there as we head toward the middle of the week. So switching over to the European model, we're looking at the jet stream pattern here as we kind of watch that next storm system kind of move on in. There it is right there as we head toward your Wednesday as this big trough kind of moves on in here. A little bit of a negative trough, but again, not a big deep there. We're just not getting that big ridging out here in the west to allow this thing to be a really deepening trough here. So it's relatively flat. So it's not really a big storm system here. So that's going to pull on out and move off toward the east. Then we got another dip in the jet stream, obviously, out here on the west coast. Here's another system coming in as that very active weather pattern continues for the folks out on the west coast. It's going to stay out very warm in the east here for the next few days as well with that pattern. So there's that big ridging. Look at that. You can tell as we head towards Saturday, you get that kind of ridging. You know you're going to be doing some very warm weather here as this big dip in the jet stream out here in the west moves in with our next storm system. As a response to that, next weekend it'll be very warm here across the eastern third of the United States as this comes to move on off here. And then I'll see the next system come on up. And then we're going to watch that hurricane. They're coming up here the last few minutes coming on up here. Now, I will say this, all right? Reason why this hurricane is important if we get something developed. If this thing heads up the eastern seaboard like that, typically on the backside, you're going to get some sort of cool down to come in on the backside of that. So whatever that hurricane does, we'll have to watch very closely. There's a big storm system here, cutoff system here as well. You got a very active subtropical jet stream. Here's the main jet stream, which is not really connected. We keep pitching these upper level lows off, but a very active pattern. Even with the southern jet branch of the jet stream, which is a little unusual to see into November. Now let's go ahead and take a look here at the precipitation here as we go on the model run here through the European. The European is hinting that some of this moisture that's coming in here is the remnants of Rafael coming in and moving in across this way. So we're going to see if that holds true or not. With this. If it does, that means we'll have some decent rains here moving across Alabama, needed areas that have had drought conditions here going into Thursday. So you're looking at some pretty good rains here across areas of Alabama and Georgia. A little bit of rain here out here, obviously across the areas of Michigan and across Lake Michigan and up toward the UP, obviously. Another system out here on the West Coast coming in as we go into Thursday as well. So let's go ahead and take this forward again as that goes in, moves to the southeast. That says goodbye to there. Looks like we headed the weekend looking pretty quiet. Not looking bad at all for most of the nation for this week, but very, very warm. 540 way up here to the north. We're looking at very warm conditions here across the eastern third of the United States with above normal temperatures expected here. And then we'll see our next storm system, that next low feature kind of spins off and brings some moisture back into areas of Colorado and into Kansas as we go into Monday. Although it doesn't appear to be quite as cool out there with that one. I'm not sure if we're going to get a big snow event with that one like we did with the previous one. And then we'll watch our hurricane here possibly coming up here toward southern Florida as we head toward Wednesday of next week. And then, of course, we've got this storm system here in the middle of the country kicking out of the southwest as we head toward the 20th of October. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here at the precipitation chances here. Again, the only thing that was significant change here, I would say, is this rain here enhancing across the southeast. Much needed rain here across Alabama, especially in parts of Georgia that have been dealing with drought conditions. We'll see if that holds true, if some of that moisture from Raphael works up into the southeast. And very, very stormy out on the west coast. Some very heavy rains out here heading into Thursday this week after 4 days of relentless rain with that onshore flow with that storm system pulling in out there. And then as we take this on all the way to the end, we got our next storm system kicking on out of the Rockies. You see the rains here picking up across portions of Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, and into New Mexico. And then we'll take this all the way out again out to that. But the West Coast, dang, we're really seeing some very heavy rains out here. Nice little pocket here across here and across the southeast. And boy, you can see that hurricane track. Look at that heavy rain there, making a turn there as it heads toward Florida. But again, that's 10 days out. We got a lot of time to watch to see if that tropical system is going to hold true or not. Now we're going to look at our temperature anomalies here. This is at 5,000 feet here, 5,000 feet. So we're looking at look at the air masses here, and we're going to continue to see this pattern. We continue to stay with these cold little shots that kind of hanging out. Whoops, clear that out there. Kind of hanging out here in the west, very warm here in the east as we head toward the middle of the week. And it gets even warmer here for this upcoming Saturday, that's for sure. Look how warm it gets here going to Friday and Saturday. Look at the heights here. Very, very warm here across the middle of the country up toward the Ohio River Valley. Very cool and below normal out here in the west as we go through the 17th. So we're still holding that pattern where we're warm in the east, colder in the west as we look here for the next 7 days. And we'll take this all the way out to the next 7 days. And then by the end of this model run, boom, going toward the 21st, still saying cold in the west, warm in the east, except a little pocket there across portions of the mid-Atlantic. But that's what the European is showing. Now, the American GFS model, I don't normally show this, but I'm going to go ahead and show this beyond this, kind of looking ahead. We're kind of getting deeper in November. People are wondering, what's it looking like for Thanksgiving? What's it looking like that week? So let's do a comparison. We're going to look at the cold air here. So we're looking at 7 days out. These are lining up fairly well here with the European here as far as the 7 day. You notice it's colder here in the west, warmer here in the east as we head toward the 18th. Now watch what happens here as we move closer to Thanksgiving week, okay? So as we go ahead and go forward here, it looks like as we head toward the 21st, we start getting a storm system here in the middle of the country, and we're going to start seeing this shift down. Plus we'll see some cold air coming up here as well. So look there to the north as I drag this forward here as we go to the 20th, going into the 21st. Oh, look, now I start getting some really cold air across the middle of the country, and then we see a shock coming down here. So we got this cold air coming down here from Canada that's going to be moving this way, and this is going to shift off toward the east. Again, this is still a long ways out, but this is going into the week of Thanksgiving. I'll pull this all the way out, Thanksgiving week. This is the Monday before Thanksgiving. We got much colder temperatures here across the eastern third of the United States, and that kind of holds true going in toward Wednesday. So we do a flip-flop of the pattern. This is something I've been talking about here for a little while, that I thought that if we did get a change in the pattern, it was going to be Thanksgiving week. So things begin to warm up out here in the west, and we get colder temperatures in the east here for Thanksgiving week. So we get some much colder temperatures at that time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the climate outlook here as we take a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook here. Again, not seeing any changes here. This goes to the 20th, warm in the east, staying cool in the west, and that kind of holds true going out toward the 24th. All right, now, of course, 24 starts getting into what the GFS is hinting at, some sort of cool down here But what the Climate Prediction Center folks are looking for, they're looking for consistency in the models. Is that a consistent thing? Are we going to get a pattern shift? And I think that hurricane may have something to say about that, depending on where that thing tracks. If it tracks up the eastern seaboard or just up the coast there, that could influence the change in the jet stream, because when that ridges up, you typically get a big cool down here in the eastern third of the United States. Precipitation-wise, as we were saying, we got a very active weather pattern here for the next 6 to 10 days. The 16th through 20th looking pretty wet there in the middle of the country, and looks like staying either near normal or above normal as we head from the 18th to the 24th, except for this one little lone spot up here across Montana and into North Dakota, seeing some below normal precipitation there. So we got a lot to look forward to here over the next week or so. Obviously, we're going to be seeing and watching closely if we're going to get that hurricane to develop in the Caribbean. I think it's pretty likely we're going to get Sarah. Its track's going to be critical, obviously, with the overall weather pattern. And then, obviously, we've got several systems to watch. We'll watch for potential heavy rains later this week for the southeast, which is definitely needed across the southeast areas that have been dealing with drought conditions there. And obviously, we're going to see if we get that pattern shift Thanksgiving week to see if we're going to get the colder temperatures across the eastern two-thirds of the country that have been running well above normal here, really for almost a month now, and we've been kind of stuck in this pattern. All right, that's your latest update here. Again, if you like what you see and like to add this to your YouTube feed on a regular basis, please subscribe to that channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content, and as always, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up down below. I do appreciate everybody's support of this channel. All right, that's your forecast for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.